family, it's your girl Sojourner Howard here coming at you. This is Coffee Talk number 3. Woo! What we were going to talk about today is not what we're going to talk about today. I thought we were going to talk about love, sex, and marriage, the lies that come with it, the terrible structure that our society has placed on it, or the lack thereof, or the structure that it's taken off of it. And when I say society, we act like that's an invisible entity when society is made up of us, people who have decided to cast off what God says. But God says about a certain subject. Let me finish my thought. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about assuming, presuming to assume. So I'm a worrier. Why? Because I lack trust. I have trust issues. I can trust God with a great many things. And other things I'm still struggling with. I can trust him when he says that my child will be healed in accordance to his will, not in accordance to my desire. Let's get this straight, okay? God is not a genie. It's not Santa Claus sitting up on his lap, giving them a list, and then you expect the Mattel toy to show up under your tree. That's not how it works, okay? But I will tell you that he will do what's best for you in accordance to his will. All right? He says it plainly in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. I got to get a thing like right in front of me or have all my scriptures typed out. My husband's like, don't show, you're all like this. All right, but just work with me because this is only number 3. Hopefully by the time we get to number 10, my camera will be working and it won't be so foggy and I'll have a different place to film. But it's okay. Right now we're going to work with what we got and we're going to keep it moving. Anywho, no one knows the mind of God, but there's a time as a daughter of Eve, it is my natural habit, my inclination that I want to fix a problem, resolve an issue, find a solution, work with my own hands, trust my own work, affect my outcome, and even order my own consequences. I do, because that's my nature. That's what I want to do. If there's a hurt, I want to fix it. If there's a lack of something, I want to fill a need. If there's a need, I want to network with people to get that need met. If there's a certain outcome that I'm looking for, I'm going to work towards it so that I can get that outcome. That's great. That's fine. That's me being tenacious. And if I was a man, I probably would be somewhere up on the corporate ladder, much higher than I am now. Yeah, we still live in that type of world. It is what it is. But I am not, because that's not where God called me to be, even though I tried for years. But let's move on. Presuming to assume God's will. So my husband and I are on the East Coast, right? We went, I don't know, between probably about 7 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I'm like in a time warp. Maybe 7 years ago, 9. I'm not sure. The kids were smaller. I know that they were much smaller. We had the opportunity to visit the West Coast, so we went to Seattle. It was very nice place to visit. Wasn't really feeling that God was calling us to move there. We were looking to see where we were going to relocate and set down and sit in roots, right? And then we went to Oregon. Beautiful, awesome, amazing, lovely. Multnomah Falls, God's country, beautiful. It's just amazing to see the natural wonders that surround us if we will take the opportunity to look. So without hesitation, We hung out there for 5 days or so. We loved it. Just felt like the Lord was telling us to move. Let's do it. So I got back here. We got back here. I got to work. I started researching hospitals because we have a child that has kidney issues. And at the time, he had not been transplanted yet. So I started looking. I started searching schools that have a great special needs program, since we have the two boys with autism who are now young men, um, hospitals, neighborhoods, um, groups, you know, whatever I could get my hands on. How do you have guardianship? How does this? How does that? How does it work? By now, the kids are transitioning into high school. I think maybe they were in middle school. I don't know. But anyway, it's taken us a long time. It's been over 5 years. I know that because my husband, yeah, he had a heart attack 5 years ago. Close to coming up 5 years, I think, this year. And then we were transplanted. It'll be 10 years in August, my youngest son. So me being able to keep up with time has been a challenge. It's been a while. There's a great stretch from the time we got there, loved it, started planning, and then said, okay, we're going to move. So in between that time, life still happened. As you heard, my husband had a heart attack. The kids grew. They graduated from high school. We transitioned from school out into post graduation activities, which threw me off, made me nuts. I had just gotten to the world, used to the world of having structure and the schedule and education, and now we're not. And I'm trying to find things to do for adults with LD, okay, autism, Asperger's, and trying to find where they fit. And I'm trying to plan, and I'm talking, and I'm having meetings, and I'm trying to do my due diligence. And I came up short big time. It felt like I was starting over at ground zero from the time that I arrived in Richmond, and I was told we don't really teach kids with autism because my kids were the first students at this particular elementary school that had autism. That's kind of how I felt, and I was mad, and I was angry, and I had a lot of anxiety behind it. Then coming to the realization that my husband, the job that he's been in for the last umpteen years, he needs to come out of it because he physically can't do the job anymore. It's God's grace that is on him. It is a toll, it is a strain. We're trying to find other ways for him to be able to support and provide for the family. Where does that fit in with me? Where do we fit in? When are we gonna move? What are we looking for? How does this work out? How do I make this connection? In the meantime, the kids have turned 18. You follow me? So we went, yeah, we're right here. So now the kids have turned 18. Oh my gosh, I thought we were going to have to move in high school. I told my husband, no, we're not moving in high school. Don't want to do that to the kids. This is our network. This is our comfort zone. Blah 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 blah. We don't have the money to do it anyway. Blah 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 blah. Now, mind you, before that, I was like, Nike, let's just do it. Wheels up, roll out. We'll make it work. We switch roles. Another story. Anywho, now they're young men, and we've had to go to court and pursue guardianship, and it was granted. And yeah, that's what you have to do when your kids turn 18 and they're autistic. You got to go before a judge and say, hi, they're still autistic. And depending on where the very variety of where they are in ability level, do you still need to care for them? Do you still need to be able to have a voice? Do they still need you to be able to speak for them, to be their advocate? And in my kid's case, yes. Yes, they still need us to help them with medical and finances and living arrangements and everyday things. Absolutely, absolutely. Are they high functioning? Yeah, yeah. For them, fantastic. Yes, they can read a recipe box and make some brownies. They sure can. But can they budget and go to the grocery store? Can they call for their ride? Can they, if their ride doesn't come, will they know what to do? Can they pay their bills? We're working towards that. Okay. But they can dress themselves. Absolutely. They can read a text message. and say, this is where I need to be. My ride has this type of license plate, and this is the picture of my driver. Yes, they can. Are they afraid to do things by themselves? No, they're not. They can take a ride and go to the laser tag place. They can go to the library. They can go bowling. They can go to the movies, and all in our little area. Yes, that's fantastic. Can they make medical decisions about themselves? They would be very hard pressed. So now we have guardianship. Now you got to move an LD adult to another state. What are the guardianship laws for that state? Well, you got to find out. You got to do your research. So here I am trying to be the brains of the operation. I just feel like the Lord is talking to us. We are getting ready to move. I done announced to my friends that we getting ready to move. I done just completely melted my face. Nah, we're moving. So sorry. Da, da, da. So excited. Da, 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 da. I done took everything up in the house that wasn't nailed down, sold it, gave it away, did something. Just the move. The move. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. The move. The move. The move. The move took legs and grew into an idol because everything that I did had to do with the move. It was my obsession. Everything that I tried to plan had to do with the move. Every decision that needed to be made had to first be weighed in view of the move. The move became an idol. I'm not saying wanting to do things such as purchase a house, move to a different area, explore other avenues for employment. I'm not saying any of that is bad. None of that is bad. Eating's not bad. Okay. Drinking a can of pop, or depending on where you're from in the country, soda, not bad. Seltzer water, well, don't do it every day because then it's too much sugar. Anyway, seltzer water, whatever. A little bit of do you. Okay. I was beyond a little bit. I had Zillow app on my phone. I picked out apartments. I'm calling people. I'm doing online tours. I got my house packed up, everything put in totes, stuff up off the walls. I am just waiting to get that job. We are interviewing. I am sending out resumes, hundreds of resumes. I can't even stand Indeed.com. Hundreds of resumes. And I'm not talking bad about it. It just, anybody that's looking for a job knows it's a pill. Nobody likes to do that because you have to get ready for I'm sorry, we're going to go in a different direction. I'm sorry, thank you for applying, but you don't have enough of this, constant bombardment of telling you what you are not capable of doing, or, whatever you read on paper doesn't fit their bot, we're like a strainer, and certain keywords fit in and they move on to the next level. It's not like there's a human being that's in up here looking over hundreds of thousands of resumes. That's not how it works. Anywho, so I had everything packed up, gave away stuff, and it was things that we needed to give away, and some things I gave away prematurely. Had the house was sitting up there like Noah. Do you know the story of Noah? If not, you should probably read about it. The Lord told Noah to build a ship. Everybody laughed at Noah. Noah built the ship. He put the animals in, male and female, 2 by 2, for procreation and the continuance of the species. Okay. And then he sat up. God closed the door because it was closed from the outside. Closed the door. And then the rain came. And actually, it wasn't from the sky. It was from the ground. Yeah, read it. It's in there. It's in there. I know there's some of you all that are like, the Bible's full of fairy tales. It's false. It's lies. It's untruth. Read it. Read it. I'm going to tell you to start in the book of John first. Read it. Yeah, men wrote it. Yes, it's been translated. Absolutely, the scrolls and letters. We don't read Hebrew. We don't read Latin, right? We can barely speak Spanish, and we too lazy to do that. Everyone should be bilingual. Speaking to myself too. Parlez-vous français? Come see, come saw. Anyway, so it's in there. So the rain didn't come down from the sky. It came up. The rainbow, we have generations, 1 or 2, 3 generations of people that don't know what the rainbow means. God patting the rainbow first. The rainbow said that I won't destroy the earth by water again, not the alphabet. Water. Alphabet, and it's not even A to Z, it's certain letters. The rainbow, I know we've taken it for LGBTQ, and when I say we, I didn't vote on that. I'm not hating, I'm just saying I didn't. But the rainbow is God's promise that said he won't do it. Now, presume, assume. Let me get back. I sat there like Noah, waiting for rain, waiting for the job that didn't come, waiting for the interviews that I never made to the second round. And when I did make it to the second round, I didn't make it to the third round. I had an interview the day of my kid's graduation. I was in the hotel's bathroom doing the interview on the computer. Just nothing, everything that I thought should have fell into place didn't fall into place. And then when we got to that place, and I was like, Lord, what in the world is the problem? He just simply told me. And I mean, I spent a year or two because they graduated, they're 21 months apart. So one graduated one year, the next one graduated the next year. And when it didn't happen, the doors didn't open and we weren't moving. I said, Lord, wait a minute. What is the problem? He just simply said, I never gave you a date. Mouth drop. I'm like, the visions, the dreams, the inclinations I have from you, the pressing from the Holy Spirit. You're right. You never gave me a date, but I operated like I had one. And if it did not fit within these parameters, then I dismissed it. I totally missed God. I always want the thing. That's weird. That's who we are. There's always a thing. Okay. There's always, I want a house. I want a car. I need a husband. I need a wife. I want this. I want that. I need my health, blah, blah, blah. The list just goes on. But then we miss the Lord in the journey, the struggle, the blessings in the journey to get to where we're trying to get to. I wanted an outward manifestation of the Lord blessing us, but forgot everything else, forgot what I was taught, and ignored everything else that he was doing along the way because it wasn't this one thing. I was obsessed, major OCD. And then for almost 2 years, I was depressed, didn't want to do anything, didn't want to write, I was like, what am I doing? What is my purpose for it? Where am I going? What am I little lost sheep? Because I didn't go back to his word. I didn't look over his promises. He didn't even say no. He just simply said, I didn't give you a date. That's all he said. And I fell to pieces because I presumed to know what he wanted and when he wanted it. Oh, do you know that's a sin? We should not do that. We shouldn't do that at all. We have to trust. We have to believe unless he says no. We have to ask. We got to give it all to him. And then we wait for his answer. And in our waiting, we are productive. But we don't sit up here and let the goal, the focus be the thing that we want more than we want God. Because anything that we place over him is now an idol. It's an idol. It's not a bad thing to want to move. It's not a bad thing to want a home. God loves to give us good things. He loves to give us gifts on his terms, in his structure, in his way. Not when we say, not when we even expect. When a woman gets pregnant, she knows at the end she's going to have a baby. If she chooses to. That is a whole nother discussion. Oh, that's probably a 2 or 3 parter right there. But at the end of her pregnancy, she expects to have a baby. She may or may not know that she has to have a C-section. She may or may not know that she's going to have a natural birth. She may or may not know that it's going to be an emergency birth. And you might give birth on the way to the hospital or on the way to the birthing center, or something else health wise is happening and you have to have an emergency C-section. You don't know. You can read all the books, you can watch the videos, you can plan, you can pack your bag, you can read the what to expect when expecting and go through your checklist and be all excited. But at the end, you don't really know when that baby is coming and under what the circumstances are going to be. You just assume that at some point you're going to have something to hold, something squirming, something crying, but you don't know the time and the date. That's why birthdays are so wonderful and so awesome. And anyone that says that you can't celebrate a birthday because Jesus didn't celebrate birthdays, yes, he did. You ought to stop. You ought to stop lying. Anyone that says we don't celebrate birthdays because King Herod killed John the Baptist on the birthday, so we don't recognize it. If God didn't want him killed at a birthday celebration, martyred for his faith, then guess what? He'd have picked a different day. That's not to say that we can't celebrate birthdays. Where are you getting your logic from? It ain't from the Lord. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. I'm going to celebrate my kid's birthday. I'm going to celebrate my birthday. It's a gift of life. This is the date that we started. I don't know what the date is that I'm going to end it, but I know the date that I started it, and I'm cataloging what is going on the in between. So this right here, this whole podcast, this the writing, the talking, the trying to empower people, the sharing my stories, some which are going to be heavy and deep, painful, and some you might need to get a box of tissue because I probably have one too. All that's from life. All that's from life, and the God of heaven is life. So, what's the takeaway? Don't presume to know the will of God. Don't worry about it. Be obedient. Stretch out your hands to trust. Do what he says do in his timing, in his way, and leave all the consequences up to God. The plans that man have are many, but the outcome is always the Lord. That's a Proverbs. I should probably find that for you. There's a lot of things that we can't control. And in our need for control, trying to control an outcome, we forget to trust. And if we can't trust, then we're not being obedient. We're far from it. Because obedience is trust, followed by action. All right, family. Till the next time. Talk to you soon. Share my podcast. Talk to you later. Love you.